Good morning, everyone, or good evening, depending on where you may be. Nice to see some people from Australia on the call. Thank you for staying up late for this. I'm David Kiefer. I'm the CEO of DocAuto, and today we're going to be talking about complete workspace lifecycle management with our Workspace Manager application. So a little bit about DocAuto. We've been around for almost 20 years, focusing primarily on enterprise content management with the what is now known as iManage Work platform. We also are doing more and more development with SharePoint and the Matter Center implementation of SharePoint for Office 365. One of the important things that we do in all of our applications is we always try to adhere to the platform's best practices. We'll be talking quite a bit about that today. I'm in our headquarters in Atlanta. We also have offices in London and Kuala Lumpur and a global partner network, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. So just a very quick snapshot of our solution set that we have. System monitoring and management applications. Our Helm application is for comprehensive monitoring of everything that's going on within the worksite environment. We have a variety of tools for security management, including our Watchdog module that we'll be doing a webinar next week on that, discussing ISO compliance using that tool. Workspace Manager, which we're going to be talking about today, is the real powerhouse, our core application, certainly in terms of comprehensive management of everything related to matter centricity within the iManage Work environment. We also have a desktop version of that that allows users to make ad hoc changes to workspaces. We're not going to be talking about that today. Really the focus is going to be on Workspace Manager, but we will have other webinars on that in the future. And then our refiling module is another key component in the matter-centric management category and also in security management. It is something that really emerged out of Workspace Manager and the growth of matter centricity within our customer base and the need to have a very powerful, high-performance, fast, safe, three-tier way of doing very high-volume refiling of content within iManage without necessarily relying on the native refiling components within WorkSite, or iManage Work. So Workspace Manager does include capabilities to do refiling, which we'll talk about a little bit today. The important caveat to that is that that's what's called native refiling using the native three-tier APIs. The refiling module is really a deconstruction of that process and converting it to be a much more controllable, high-performance method of doing refiling with very fine control over exactly what gets refiled and how it's refiled, and that's something that we'll also be doing webinars on that in the future. We have our full email management suite for WorkSite and SharePoint that we've been doing webinars about that recently, and then a variety of document control products for importing and exporting, managing content with cloud-based file sharing with Citrix ShareFile, and some other tools as well. So again, really today the focus is going to be on matter-centric management, specifically with Workspace Manager. So Workspace Manager has been around for many years now. We just had our 500th customer recently. We did a press release about that. So we have customers in over 20 countries around the world. Most of those are law firms, in the AmLaw Top 200. But also a lot of corporate legal departments and other organizations, Fortune 500. And then in the accounting world, we have many of the top accounting houses around the world also using our products, Workspace Manager specifically, with their implementations of iManage. This is the leading third-party application for creating and modifying matter-centric workspaces. It has been for a couple of years now. If you look in the ILTA Technology Survey, the clear leader in that area. And we also have a certified engineer training program. We have over 150 certified engineers around the world. We have another course this May in our London office. So contact us for additional information about certified engineer training in your area. So let's get started talking about Workspace Manager. Again, very important aspect that we can never stress too much is that it is a completely three-tier application to the iManage platform, which means it uses the approved APIs. All of the changes go through the middle tier document management or DMS server, and that there are absolutely no changes or touches of any kind that we're doing to the SQL database on the back end. So just to give you sort of overview of the three-tier architecture, the top tier or back-end components are the SQL database, which contains all the information about the documents, their metadata, the security, all of the structural information about workspaces, tabs, folders, searches, the relationships between the structures and the documents, and all the other information related to the iManage system in and of itself. The document libraries are the physical repositories where the documents actually reside, and then the indexer, in most cases it's the idle indexer, is the full text component that analyzes the documents and works with the database and provides full text search functionality to the end user. So this top tier here is completely isolated from end users as opposed to other document management systems, more old-fashioned client-server type systems where end users would have either connections or access directly to the back end. In a properly implemented worksite system, the security is extremely tight, and all of these back-end components are completely isolated from end users. The way that users interact with the content is through this middle tier DMS server service here that brokers all the communications between the clients, which are desk side, file side, or any API driven applications, the end users basically, and all the top tier applications. So the three-tier architecture of iManage was a pretty major innovation about 20 years ago when it first came out. And that has really, because iManage uses their own APIs to develop their own clients, we at DocAuto have had the ability to create extremely powerful applications using their APIs and using the approved methodologies within WorkSite. So again, we're never making any changes to the SQL database or interacting with any of these components in the top tier. That's completely invisible to us because we are using the approved three-tier architecture. So Workspace Manager itself is a multi-instance, multiple machine application that you can deploy however you want within your organization without any additional licensing. It's very flexible in how it can be integrated with other tools or platforms, so you can drive it through web servers or any kind of services that way. The DocAuto server platform is designed to also manage and run your Workspace Manager jobs with its scheduler and notification capabilities, the ability to capture all the logs into a SQL database and generate notifications based on events generated by Workspace Manager. We have other customers who are using Intap, that they're integrating Workspace Manager with their Intap application. I know that Intap likes to say that they can do a variety of things within WorkSite, but they're not three-tier, and really they don't have anywhere near the range of functionality that we have within Workspace Manager. So a lot of large organizations that are using Intap are generally integrating Workspace Manager within their Intap or other kinds of business process automation or process management workflow applications. We also have people who are integrating it with SharePoint, creating the capability to have data entry forms that can drive Workspace Manager, again, from the back end. So the big picture about Workspace Manager is that we can change basically anything about the structural components of WorkSite or how the documents are stored within WorkSite during production hours without any user impact because, again, we're three-tier. So we're able to connect to any number of iManage servers within a single job, so we can service requests to create workspaces or do other kinds of operations within very large distributed environments. Again, very simple within our tool to be able to do that. One of the most powerful aspects of what we can do with Workspace Manager is the ability to read data directly from any other kind of production data sources that you have within your organization. So if you're using Elite or Aderant or other kinds of accounting systems, whether it's a SQL database, Oracle, we have customers in accounting who are using SAP driven with Oracle, so we're reading information directly from Oracle databases. We have people who are using Access databases to capture information maybe on sort of one-off ethical walls or any other kind of custom database, whatever it is, whatever the schema is, it's irrelevant to us. And we can pull in information from multiple different databases on different servers that are running on different platforms and build relational data on the fly when the job is running to get information about security, for example, or how documents should be moved between folders or workspaces without having any dedicated workspace manager type database. So other approaches use a data warehouse or other kind of tool that involves pulling in, translating, and synchronizing or replicating data from one database into the, their product database. We've never worked that way. It's never been a requirement with Workspace Manager. And then Workspace Manager can also be run without any data source at all using up to 500 command line parameters. So again, fairly old school but highly effective way of extending the functionality of the Workspace Manager as an engine to do any kind of operation within Worksite based on specific business needs that you have. The Workspace Manager application itself has an engine API. That's a COM API, the way I manage is. So you can also integrate directly into the engine if you want using various kinds of development tools. Specific features, again, at a very high level: workspace creation, modification, publication or the distribution of workspaces, provisioning, which is what we call the process of moving documents between folders, putting them into folders if they're orphan documents. But that has grown over the years to include a much broader array of use cases, which we'll talk about in a minute. Aging, which is in theory the ability to do archiving, but also again a much broader array of different kinds of use cases, which is why we don't call it archiving. It was really the best terminology we could come up with at the time. And then there's an array of very advanced features that we'll talk about that have been added into the product over the years to deal with more esoteric use cases within Worksite. But we're seeing more and more, especially in larger organizations or organizations with distributed architectures or multiple offices, the need to perform a variety of different kinds of operations that address the unique challenges